Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we venture our petty and ill-informed opinion about a variety of topics, including EastEnders. Joining me from the sunny Emerald Isle, Kevin.
You sound like my grandfather whenever he didn't put in his false teeth, right? Hey, everybody, how's it going?
And from 22 Squires Green, Tom.
Yeah, I'm here again.
And we are all here and ready for the show. How was your week, Kevin?
Oh, it's all right. How about yourself? I was doing. I'll wait for you to say how was your week, and then I'll say how my week was. Or you just want me to skip that and go straight to how my week was? Because I just realized that if I just started talking there, then I would have said how's your week, and then just blown right past you. So I'll just do that. I don't know. I'm having a weird day. Whoa. That's right.
Well, my week went pretty well. Thank you for asking. I've had a fun week in the sun. The weather's turned around over here. I don't know what it's like down London way, but right now we've had a really sunny day. It's been 20 degrees the last 2 days. After 2 months of nothing but rain and clouds, we're finally getting a summer. Pretty weird. Tom, how's your week been?
Yeah, been pretty good. Gone back to school for the first of 3 development days, and it was really nice to see everyone again. I'm really going to have to focus a lot harder than I normally do when I work this year, just to get the job done properly. I'm really going to have to, when I'm sitting down and working, I've got to be working hard and fast, which my mind does not like doing at all. Just because of the way I'm built and ADHD and stuff like that, I find that concentrating requires a huge cognitive load, and I am going to need to really push. It's going to be it's going to be a great year, and I've got a lot of faith in my kids and my team and everything. But it is going to have to be one of supreme focus. Thankfully, my dear wife is helping me get some sort of specialist ADHD coaching in the pipeline, which will sort of help me hopefully get more out of my time and things. So that's all very much in the works. What else has been good in the past week? Well, the American football team that I helped found in about 2005-06 was the East Kent Mavericks, and they have got a massive game tomorrow. It's a semi-final of the playoffs in their division, and if they make that, then they're in the grand final in Coventry, which will probably mean a weekend away for my family and I in a couple of weeks. But so that it's a home game. It's in Canterbury tomorrow, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. I don't know.
Interesting sidebar there. I was born in Coventry.
Oh.
Just felt like mentioning that when you mentioned Coventry. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off.
No, well, I was pretty much done. Well, we're all much better for that knowledge. Thank you, Richard.
Righty dokie. So I was thinking we should talk about anxiety at first tonight before we venture into whatever topics you two want to go into.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. I could really do with talking about that, actually.
Yeah. We're probably all 3 of us plagued by anxiety through at least I have been through the majority of my life. I don't know about the rest of you.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. You know, when I was a kid, didn't have a shit in the world, didn't care about nothing. But the older I get, the more anxious I become. And it gets to the point where even making a phone call is terminally debilitating for me. I feel with fear and, well, just anxiety, and it's just really annoying. And I wondered if you two, being, about the same age as me, give or take a few years, were suffering similar fates.
Kev, you go first, mate.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that I would find that that's really true. And the older I get, Richard, the worse it is. I was making a comment to Sam the other day that when I was a kid, or maybe a younger man, I just didn't have so much. Oops,
Sorry,
that's
that's my bloody phone. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
that I didn't have. It seems like a care in the world, like I mean, and you just didn't care. I think maybe part of it is Richard. And I don't know about you because I'm different than you, obviously. But I think it's like one of those things where as you get older and your circle of friends reduce, and you're around less people maybe than you were before. Um, it gets a little bit more um, brought home to you. Your anxiety because you don't want to make a mistake. I mean, whenever
Hmm.
you were young, you were like, oh, okay, well, if this is part of making a mistake. Whenever you're young, you think, okay, this is when I'm supposed to make mistakes, right? I'm supposed to learn from this. And then as you get older, you think, okay, uh, you've had good experiences, you've had bad experiences, and sometimes you're afraid to relive a bad experience, so you don't do anything. You become sort of entractified into the idea that it's better to do nothing than it is to be hurt. Whereas I think whenever you were younger, you were like, okay, I'll just stand back up, brush myself off, keep on moving. And I think that it's one of those things where, um, I think whenever you get to this age, you're like, okay, well, this is the last girlfriend I want to have, or last wife I want to have, or last job I want to have, or whatever, last place I want to live at. And so, you just try to hang on to that. But it is hard in a way that that ends up really seemingly holding you back. I know that one of the things that's been interesting was, because Sam and I are coming to Ireland for, at least 3 months. And then after that, we'll see if we completely relocate there or not. And I'm sort of amazed at the fact that she's coping with it a lot better than I am, even though she's not there. She's not from there, I guess. You know what I mean? And so it's just the thing that you could really mind fuck yourself. And I think that a lot of the times is we just need to free ourselves from the fear. I think it's fear is a big motivator. You know what I mean? On the
Yeah.
axis of motivations, fear and love are the two big motivators. And I think as we get older as men, we fear things more than we do. But I think a lot of times that's that harshness of the way we judge ourselves is not as bad as the way other people do. I mean, when we're in relationships, we give people a lot of leeway, I think. And I think that one of the things we don't expect is for other people to give us any leeway. So you're all right, brother. Pick up the phone.
Good advice. When I got to the point where I actually turned to the NHS and got a therapist for anxiety, CBT.
Yeah.
And after a 3-week waiting period, which turned into almost 2 months, I was assigned one, and I started talking to a therapist because my anxiety has reached the point where it's starting to affect how I function in the real world.
Oh, mate, I'm really genuinely sorry to hear that. I had no idea, bud.
Thank you, Tom. Anyway, my therapist gave me a diagram to follow whenever I get into a situation that causes me anxiety. Now, this diagram does work, but it only works because I become distracted and frustrated by the diagram. So I'm going to go with it with you guys. In fact, you know what? I'm going to bring it up and we'll put it on the stream and we can all go through it together. How does that sound to you guys?
Yeah, bring it on.
Brilliant.
I'm going to try and find it. No, that's Gabby's sexual harassment pictures.
Well,
What
the only problem is you're the one person in the world who can't call on the the galloping in on his steed, the sexual harassment man. You're the only person in the world who can't call upon it because that's meant to be you. So
Right.
hopefully you're ready to defend yourself.
Right. How did your cognitive behavioral therapist think about sexual harassment, man?
I didn't bring that up.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe next week you say, well, I've gotten around my anxiety by becoming a sexual harassment man.
Yeah, I'm gonna to help me to really help me
yeah.
overcome my anxieties. I'm gonna put on a mask and a cape and prowl the streets at night looking to deck potential rapists.
No. I'm going to patrol alleyways looking for women in distress.
Right.
That's what a sexual harassment man does.
We could do without this taking a creepy tone again.
Yeah. Well, you could just, police like washing lines at night for knickers and stuff like that, perhaps.
Exactly. I am sexual harassment man, defender of truth, justice, and women in alleyways.
All right.
All right,
So it looks like at this point in time, you've got 3 boxes and a.
All right, so the situation. So, Tom, give me a situation that makes you feel anxious.
Worrying that I've upset a friend.
So the situation is you have upset a friend. What are the negative thoughts and predictions that come along with this?
This person is going to reject me. They're going to resent me. They are harboring negative thoughts about me, something which I don't like and wish to resolve and wish to end, wish to change.
What are the emotions and body sensations that come along with this feeling?
It's not really any body sensations unless if it's really full on, it'll be acute tiredness and my body will want to shut down.
Do you have any safety behaviors?
Not really. Not that I know of. Playing with a Rubik's Cube, maybe.
How does this affect your impression or image of yourself?
I'm worried that I'm seen as a nasty piece of work by the other person, and therefore am a nasty piece of work. It's interesting. I've never put it into these words before.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same. Yeah, you're bumping into the same problem I do, which is that I think about the diagram, and it does make the anxiety go away. But I'm just like, how is this relevant? How does this affect anything? It just makes me frustrated.
Yeah,
but it does make me less anxious.
What's with the... But then there's that back and forth arrow in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, that just pops into the old negative thoughts and predictions. All right, Kevin, what is a situation that makes you anxious?
Oh, name it, brother. I mean, it's like one of those things. I think that can I just interject here before we go through the steps too much? Because I think that you're being too logical about it. Both of you are being too logical about it rather than what the... See, if I was your cognitive behavioral therapist, what I would say is don't worry about the diagram as much as regard and own your feelings about your anxiety. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like I'm fucking autistic. I like having rules to follow.
Right, but that's what I'm thinking that she is not understanding in this case, Richard. So the important thing more than the step 1, step 2, step 3, you're not baking a cake here, buddy. You're talking about your life. You know what I mean? So what's important is to realize that the fear that you have in the world and the negative feelings that come from that are not necessarily an obstacle in your mind to you accomplishing what you want. And, you can sum it all up in my case with, like what's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean? If you pick up the phone and you call somebody and you tell them you love them, or you tell them, I would like to have this job or whatever. Truth of the matter is that, and the truth of the matter is that you're anxiety about anything in the past, really anything. If you take the most embarrassing moment of your life, for me, for example, shitting myself in the Palace of Versailles. Okay, let's look at that. I am the only one, other than you two, thinking about that right now. None of the people that are there even probably even remember that happened. You know what I mean? And so the the important part to realize of it is that in the whole scheme of things, a and I know that this is an English and an Irish thing, feeling good about feeling okay about yourself is okay. You know what I mean? Part of I think the British culture is to sort of not allow for self um, gratification in a way, if you understand it. Just the sort of the the suffering is the point. Sometimes is what I would say about British society. You know, especially if you're a young male. You know what I mean? Suffering is the point. You know that the all the people that we looked up to in the past were because for some reason they could suffer more than we could. You know, like SAS people and in Tobruk or whatever. You know, we look back on
with
those times.
the kinky boots.
Yeah, I mean, all those different things. So when you look at it as A, we're entitled to be happy, and B, we shouldn't have to feel guilty about being happy, which again is one of my problems. And and then moving on. So uh, you, for me, the whole idea about it is to think, okay, if I think this, what's the negative thing that can happen, and what are the positive things that can happen? And I mean, even if for example, okay, so is a negative necessarily a negative? So let's say you called up the phone on the phone and you said, "Hey, would you like to go out with a date for me?" And you asked it a respectful way, and that person said no. Um, then you would know that that person's not interested in you. So you're not spending the next year going over it and over and over it and over it in your mind. You know what I mean? Making a mountain out of a molehill in a way.
Yeah.
So you get a resolution. That's the important part. But if you do everything with kindness or whatever, it's just that the negativity reinforces itself. That's all I'm saying is, and so you don't have to suffer. Richard, I've never met you. That's great. I've talked to you plenty of times on the phone. You're a
Well, we're going to be
caring.
meeting soon, aren't we?
No, I know, but I'm saying you're a caring guy. You have a funny sense of humor and things like that. And so, can you be a bit standoffish? Yeah, we all can be. And but of all three of us, I bet that manifests in different ways.
Well, you've had my back, Richard, when I was navigating a very difficult friendship.
Yeah, well, that was bullshit. I mean, that without getting into specifics, I mean, what happened there was complete and total bullshit. And, you were fucking well within your goddamn rights. I mean, I don't want to fucking name names or spill the tea or whatever, but that entire situation was, well, the fucking deluded dreams of a narcissistic mad person.
Well, you certainly gave me very, very sound advice at the time, and I was very, very grateful for it, and I still am.
Yeah.
Well, you're a mate. I like you. I enjoy your company.
Yeah.
Likewise.
I like Kevin. I enjoy Kevin's company.
Well,
Like
yeah.
Gabby. I enjoy Gabby's company.
Right.
To
Well,
a degree.
I think that's the main point about it is, I mean, you have mates. So in the long thing about it, unless you totally fuck up, I mean, like go beyond the pale of psychopathic behavior, you've got mates. You know what I mean? And so basically, what it comes down to is all of us will say, "Man, that was stupid," but the guy's our mate. You know what I mean? That's what it is. We might say you were stupid at times, but we won't disown you. I mean, unless you've got people buried in your basement or something. And then I would just say, he seemed like a nice guy to me.
I'm totally fucked if I ever want to be a serial killer because both my brother and my mother have both subscribed to that fucking genealogy bullshit. which means I can't ever be a serial killer because my DNA will show up in that bloody system now. Thank you, guys. Another avenue of pleasure closed off to me,
Right.
Richard.
Bastards.
All right, so here's a hypothetical situation. All right, purely hypothetical. A female friend of mine wants me to go to a foreign country.
Uh-huh.
And the negative thoughts and predictions are, because she's married, it could get messy. Is she gonna fucking, all the shit that goes along with that, and shit like that. Plus, I hate planes, hypothetically. Plus, I don't fucking. It's just really messy, and like the emotions, it's fear, anxiety, mortal terror, if I'm honest. The safety behaviors, I've got so many safety behaviors, like my leg bounces, I play with my fingers, I
That's
bite
because
my
you've
fingers.
got that's because you've got ADD.
I don't fucking believe that's a real thing. All right, I don't. But okay.
Well, I'm telling you, it is. I'm absolutely 100% guaranteeing you. I live and breathe this shit. Whenever I'm not asleep, it absolutely it is.
And that's
when
what's hypothetically causing me the most anxiety at the moment.
Right. Well, okay. So my understanding is, hypothetically, this is what I think. You know what I mean? When you have you ever? So this person is somebody that you know for a long time, and now they're saying you should come on some sort of a holiday with us or whatever. And
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, are you going to be around other people, or is it just going to be you and this individual?
Nah, like hypothetically, planning on visiting other friends.
Okay. Well, then, so I mean, so let me ask you the question: Is the thing about her judging you whenever you get there, or is the really the important thing is that that you will feel an unrequited love for this person or whatever? Is it
Definitely that.
okay? And so if this other person's in a relationship, should you be thinking that in the first place, mate? You know what I mean? Or is that just one of those things where this is just one of those things where, given the chance, this is somebody you'd like to be with? But I mean, have you ever sort of thought of the time, but the time may be right some other time and not now? But or is it or is it just a matter of what's the worst thing that could happen with you becoming a friend with this person, and then you getting to know what they're really like, and then going on from there, and then deciding where to go from that. I'm not saying go in there steaming like a steamroller, try to start being like an icebreaker and breaking things up. But what would be the harm in going and being friends with this person? And then,
Kevin, you've asked about 5 different questions. You haven't
no,
given them a
I'm
moment
just trying
answer one
to.
of them.
I'm trying to work it out in my head, Tom. I mean, this is my way of doing.
Oh, they're rhetorical questions.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's what's causing me great anxiety. Tom's got his own shit. You've got your own shit. Anxiety is a problem in today's society.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance yet to talk about my experiences of it, which I'd like to do if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Didn't I give you first crack at it?
Yeah, but now that I've asked 12 questions,
You put me through the diagram. You didn't give me a chance to just wax lyrical.
I gave you first crack at it. You got like other shit going on? All right, then go for it, Tom. Lay it all out.
No, but all it is I didn't really realize what anxiety was, even though I'd experienced it a lot of my life. Even as a teenager, definitely. a lot of anxiety about friendships, about unrequited love. Definitely was a massive thing for most of my teenage years, and just your brain churning at 100 miles an hour, and whilst trying to look at yourself and study yourself and be introspective, but just in a anxiety riddled, turbulent way. And I went through my whole life like that, and it was only about 5 years ago when I two things happened. One was I began to understand that anxiety is linked to ADHD, or it can be, and that's sort of a part of the melting pot of my mind that I didn't know was there, or didn't know that that's what it was called, and that's what it is. And the more I sort of understood about anxiety, the more things have resonated, And the other thing that happened was I just sort of had a revelation, and I've never forgotten it. I just said, you know what my mind does? I just was talking to somebody by the photocopier in school, and I said, when adversity hits, my mind overreacts massively.
Did you just say you were talking to someone next to the photocopier at school?
Yes.
What kind of school did you go to that had a photo? Oh, wait. Did you mean when you were a teacher?
He's a
Yeah.
teacher.
No. I get it now. Sorry.
Yeah, I was a teacher 5 years ago, Richard. So I'm 45. So I wasn't at school.
I was imagining you as a kid in like a school uniform and shit.
No, it was much later in life, and
Tom was in Grange Hill.
it was much later in life, and I remember. I just realized. So what I tried to do is when something unfortunate happens, like say I look at my email inbox and there is suddenly an overwhelming amount of work to be done, or there is a something like I've made a massive mistake, like left my wallet in a supermarket or something, or I've
I get that.
good examples if something's gone wrong online and I've I've fallen out with a friend, or something adverse has happened in that way. When those sorts of things happen, my mind really panics and overreacts, and I'm sort of having all these my mind's go-to is often like pretty extreme ways of dealing with it, like I'm trying to think of examples that are sensible and safe to give in this forum, because just got to be conscious.
Just say hypothetically and allegedly,
but just just say imagining, or sort of I mean, in the when I had some time off for mental health several years ago, I was actually suffered from something called suicidal ideation, which is where you lose yourself in a fantasy of ending it all. God, it's horrible to talk about, but it's not too painful to remember. But no, I genuinely suffered from that, because what happened there, that was a really specific episode, was some of the kids in my class suddenly started behaving so badly, and I just took it desperately personally, that I couldn't solve the problem, and I couldn't fix this and stop this behavior, then nor could anyone else. The deputy head was had to spend 2 hours sometimes marching around the school after these kids, just tearing the place up and things. They were really troubled. I mean, we'd never really worked out where it came from, but during that time, part of my mind was fantasizing about ending it all, because as a way of escape, as a sort of an extreme. That was, and so when that adversity hit, my mind's 10 times bigger response was to go there, to dream of, fantasize about that, and I believe that's called suicidal ideation. Now, I did go and get help for it. That my school were incredibly supportive and helpful. They wanted. Again, I had a revelation there when my really good friend at work, Matthew, he said, "Right, Tom, what is it you're so afraid of. Now, Kev, this comes back to the fear you talked about quite wisely and rightly. What happened was, he said, "What are you afraid of?" I said, "I'm afraid that I'm going to be held to account for their poor behavior in my classroom, and that I'm going to lose my job and therefore the roof over my family's head." So what was happening subconsciously to me was, my mind was, when these kids kicked up, my mind went to my family's home and that being under threat, which was a massive leap and a really unhelpful overreaction. But that's what my mind was doing. And once I understood that and applied the sort of, well, this is the 10 times bigger reaction, I began to get a handle on it. The deputy head offered me this was about a year before the pandemic, maybe. Yeah, I believe it was. I believe it was
a good time.
Yeah, it was about 2018, 19. But what happened was, my deputy head said, she was very kind. She was very, very good, actually. I'm going to give her a due. And she said, "Tom, go and have a week at home. Go and take a week off." And I said, "I really don't need to. I don't think I do." But then 3 or 4 people at my school who were friends of mine said, "Tom, go. Just go." And I did. And yeah, I came back. I had a very, very good teaching assistant was with me for a little while. She was brilliant, and she really helped me to get a handle on these kids. And things went on an upward curve then. And at the end of the year, I got so many presents from that class. I got so many presents, and it was lovely. It was absolutely lovely. Wait, I've just realized it. No, it wasn't. It was far more recent. This was post-COVID. This was only within the last few years. Yeah.
Post-pandemic. Those were good times.
So yeah, that's actually relatively recent. But yeah, that happened, and I don't think I've anything to be ashamed of. That episode of terrible mental health afflicted me. I did get better from it. I did recover, and my anxiety is pretty much in check. I try not to have a direct link between my job and the roof over my family's head. It's not helpful, and there'd be if hypothetically it were to all go wrong and I were to lose my job and my career be over or something like that. It's happened to people I know. I've seen it happen. I've seen people's careers in teaching ended. Can't talk about it, of course, but no, I've seen it happen. Believe me, I can't give any details.
You're like the ultimate cock tease sometimes. You're like, I can't talk about it.
He can't talk about it. He can't talk about it.
Well, it's I wouldn't want to tell you after the show.
Well, I think that the key thing about it is, it's amazing to me how many people are still going through a lot of. I mean, the COVID sort of took the veil away, didn't it, on a lot of people's mental frailties, and me being definitely one of them. I mean, from that standpoint, I became so agoraphobic almost. I can't stand to even go anywhere anymore. You know what I mean? I very, very rarely leave the house, and I feel very uncomfortable when I do. So that's my way of looking at it, right? So everything out with this house for me, where I'm at, has become a threat, and so it's. That's one of those things where you do have to have a lot of, a lot of pluck to go ahead and, face up to all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm not saying anything other than the fact that, I think for a lot of people, COVID gave them a couple of realizations. Is that nothing is ever you can't take anything for granted, one, and then the way that society works isn't necessarily the best or the only way it can be done. And I think a lot of us are coming out to that realization. It's very hard to hit that sort of in your midlife period of time because, it sounds to me like in some respects, we're all in a midlife crisis to a degree. And, maybe some of us are more into that stage than another. It's always on varying degrees, you know what I'm saying? But it sounds like that's what it was. I mean, I was talking to Sam the other day, and I said, I don't know how people find other people now. You know what I mean? I just don't know how anybody would do it because I've always been a guy that just I could never use an internet app to try to find a girlfriend or something like that. I'm a guy that would say, strike up a conversation with somebody and then ask them out. I know that's an old fashioned thing now, but I mean, you just think to yourself, well, I mean, if you're transitioning from one type of a world to another type of a world is pretty hard, and so if you were expected to only find people one way, it's pretty difficult, especially whenever you realize that. I mean, you can have a colleagues that like with us live hundreds or thousands of miles away from each other and can come together and work on something once a week or whatever, and it's just it's so then you say at that point in time meeting somebody in the flesh becomes a stress, where I think in the old days talking to somebody on the phone used to be for a stress for me, you know what I mean? I don't know. When I was growing up, I would just say, yeah, I just want to bring him in. I want to meet him in person. You know what I mean? Bring him in. When I was a boss, it was that way. Get him in, get him in. And, because I wouldn't even talk over the phone. I'd want to see their whole reactions. I'd want to see everything, the way that their face reacted when I said anything. And definitely the idea of verbal cues and visual cues goes away whenever you're doing that. Well,
What's that sound?
Richard's watching porn again. Oh, I'm so lonely.
Love live on show. Have you no shame, man?
Yeah. So I'm just
Love a
saying,
bit of porn.
your preferred way of communication is not necessarily the way that society wants you to do that anymore. So, and
I don't know if society wants a particular form of communication. What I will say is for all the flaws of Facebook and Meta and or X or all these giant companies, one thing that they do that is for me is singularly beautiful. Is it for free, basically for free? No, nothing comes for free, and we give our data. We give our data to these companies, which is not something to be ignored or made light of. But at no financial overt financial cost, these people give us the ability to be in touch with each other all over the world. I mean, people like us three, Nikki and Gabby, and you mentioned friends earlier, Kevin. I'm very lucky and I'm very fortunate in that there's a relatively large number of people that I can call very, very good, genuine, sincere friends that live all over the world, really.
yeah, but I mean, yeah,
And I think it is wonderful, and I feel very blessed, feel very fortunate, and it's in both the real world, in sort of in friends with sort of people in three ways: A, in the real world; B, people I have been friends with in the real world, and I'm now in touch with, online. Like my friend Hazel, I went to university with. She lives in Australia with her wonderful boyfriend Alan, and I'm in touch with both of them on Facebook for her and via email with Alan. He and I talk about tennis a lot. Actually, I've got him a little parcel to them is in the post as we speak, because during the summer I was taken to Wimbledon, and I got a little gift in a gift shop. My mum paid for it. I said, "Mum, this probably isn't even going to be for me." She said, "Never mind, dear," and she insisted on paying for it. Bless her heart. My mum is lovely. So this little Prezi is on its way. She is the sort of vegan you would despise, Richard. My friend Hazel.
I despise all vegans.
Yes, she's she's a proper animal rights activist. And no, she's great. I really take my hat off to her for what she does. She's brilliant. But she does sort of she has used more full-on language than I would personally use. But that's not a criticism, it's a statement of difference. Yeah, so and then the third way in which I know people say, blimey, how many rabbit holes have I fallen down? I'm about 5 deep at the moment. Jeez. So I was saying Hazel is an example of a second kind of friend, someone who was a friend in the real world, but is now an online friend. And then thirdly, there's people I've only known online, such as you, fine folk.
Yeah. And I think that part of the thing about it is, Tom, if you really think about it, has the internet in some ways quelled our guilt about moving to another place or leaving or whatever. That's what I'm saying. I've always thought about the fact that, whenever my grandmother or great grandmother moved anywhere, even if it was only to Scotland or something from Ireland or whatever, or people coming to America from Ireland or whatever, that a lot of times that they would like have a wake, like their going away party would be like a wake. In other words, it was almost like a preemptive burial because you knew you would never see that person again. And so in the flesh, at least, there was a very, very rare chance of you seeing them alive again in most cases, because most people just didn't have the money to do all that. And whereas now in this world that we live in, we were like, oh, well, Granny's only a computer call away or this or that or whatever. And so, in a way, technology has both caused guilt and assuaged guilt in a lot of ways, because you can use it both ways. And that's one of the things I think about is, that amount of choice obviously has bombarded us. I always look at, you guys know I study medieval literature and how boring that is. But anyway, I mean, the thing that's interesting about it is that the medieval mind came into less symbology or writing or pictures or new scenes and everything like that than we do in a single day. No wonder our minds are completely clogged, and we have no ability to remember. I mean, we are bombarded with advertising, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's my way of looking at it. So, I mean, cut yourself a break, man. That's all I'm saying. This isn't. You're not doing brain surgery on somebody, brother. They're not going to die, or you're not going to die.
Oh, Richard, you mentioned phone calls giving you anxiety. One thing that really doesn't help these days, because messaging and like dropping a little voice note or a quick video message is so easy now, it kind of makes a phone call a really big deal. You can't just phone someone out of the blue now. It seems rude. It's a weird. I mean, I'd love to go and do go to an open mic at stand up or something and wax lyrical about this. But if your phone rings and they haven't sent you a message asking you, confirming the time of the phone call and if it's convenient, if they haven't done all that first and gone through that whole ritual, it just seems really weird and random when your phone just rings out of the blue and someone just phones you off. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
and you don't dare do it to anybody.
Causes me so much anxiety to call people now.
I mean, is this people for work, Richard? Is it to do with that?
No, just, my brother's birthday was last month and I had to ring a restaurant to book a table. God, I hated every second of that.
Yeah, but that's just you conducting business, mate. You know what I mean? That's just you conducting business. You have to do it that way.
Why? We could do it online. They could have a website and I could book a table like that.
Oh, if I did it online, I would not trust it. I guess that's the difference. You guys trust things to work online. I still don't. I still do not trust things to work out better online than I do whenever I call them on the phone.
I mean, that's an entirely separate topic for and different.
No,
Uh,
I agree with you. I agree with you, but that's I'm just saying.
No, I mean, like, should the internet be free because we need it now to live?
Well, do you though?
Has
Well,
anyone
yeah,
heard
kind of.
Has anyone heard of an idea called the Internet of Things? That's really like creepy. It's things like fridges and freezers that are smart fridges and freezers. They connect to the internet, but they don't even seem to need your Wi-Fi password or anything. They just do it automatically and just then have a range, can use just a very limited part of the internet. I don't even know how it works. But apparently, the Internet of Things, that's just stuff around your home that I hope there wouldn't be stuff that you wouldn't know about, but it's stuff that secretly connects to the internet, like lamps and things.
Everything connects to the internet these days, especially fucking like I won't have an Alexis in my house, an Alexa.
Oh, I hate
won't.
Alexa. I can't.
I just don't trust it at all.
Well, other than the fact that it listens to you, having sex and all.
All right. We're getting off. We're 48 minutes in, and there's two other things I want to talk about. Number one, Tom earned himself some brownie points this week and lost a shitload at the same time. It's my birthday tomorrow, and Tom sent me a care package. Very nice of him. Thank you.
Yeah.
Included a Hot Wheels toy that I had to put together by myself, and I fucking love stuff like that. Like toy model planes, Space Marines, Warhammer 40,000, anything that you have to put together by hand, I love. So he earned me serious points with the Hot Wheels toy. Unfortunately for Tom, he sent me these crisps, Worcestershire sauce flavored crinkle cut crisps, which was the most delicious thing I've ever had in my entire life, and I can't find them anywhere.
Well, who made them?
They're not in Asda, they're not in Tesco's, they're not in Aldi, they're not in even Lidl.
What brand are they?
I don't know, they were white.
They're Seabrook. I've got a 6-pack here.
I hate you, Tom.
I
hate you and your perfect life. But they were like the most delicious crisps ever. Yes, he's opening the pack there. He's eating in front of me. No shame. No shame. No shame.
Well, they're vegan anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they're delicious. They're soft, crinkle cut crisps.
Oh,
and the taste, perfect in schlag.
They are great.
There's got to be some place that you can get them.
I can't get them here at all. I've been all over Carlisle looking for them.
Okay, you've got just go down.
Home bargains. Home bargains. Yeah, I'll post you some more. Sure.
Well, what you can always do is you can go down and say, "Can I speak to the head of the grocery?" Somebody that is there at the place orders crisps and that, and you just ask them to stock them for you. That happens all the time. You go in there and say, "Can you stock this for me?"
Sorry, that was my wife calling me.
So he gets, major points for the Hot Wheels toy. He also sent me some prawn cocktail crocodiles, which were frankly disgusting. But the Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce crinkle cut crisps, so good. But
I thought you liked the prawn cocktail ones. You said they were nice.
Yeah, I was just being polite.
Oh, okay.
But the Hot Wheels toy was awesome, and the Lee & Perrins crisps were amazing. But I can't get them anywhere. But
Home bargains. You need to find your nearest home bargains.
there isn't a home bargains in Carlisle.
Oh, damn it.
Anyway, so yeah, major points for that, Tom. Also, you're dead to me for introducing me to crisps I can't get here.
I'll post you some if I need to. I did think of you today. I thought, I wonder if Richard's been able to get any when I got that delicious 6-pack. Right.
Anyway, speaking of how much I hate Tom, we can move on now to EastEnders Corner for our weekly update on everything happening on Wolford Square.
You guys knock yourselves out. Go for it.
We're going.
Hey, you know what? The two of us signed worse than Gina on a night on it in the town at a night in Peggy's.
Yeah, well, you know, we have to make it terrible on purpose so we don't get in trouble with copyright.
How'd you like this week, Mitt?
Oh, what a week! So, after weeks and weeks and weeks of wondering when Cindy and Eel were coming back, finally, Ian Beale returned to the square. And I gotta say, the man is a master of playing a heel character. Because by the end of the week, I frankly despised him and everything he stood for.
Really?
Yep, really.
Hi, so Mitt.
So we start the week with Cindy returning to Wolford and, going to Wolford Square with the intent of hunting Peter down and returning to France. She then finds out her estranged husband George is there with her 2 daughters, conveniently for, reasons of plot. And she sets out to rekindle a relationship with her daughters. We also managed to mention Lola for the first time in weeks.
Yes, we did have the Lola.
We had Peter and Ben talking about Lola. And I'm like, ugh. Is this really necessary, guys? But whatever.
Now don't lose the plot now. Cindy comes back. Cindy comes back. She's standing in there with Kathy. Kathy said,
and ladies and gentlemen, don't get us wrong. Cindy coming back is bullshit because she died 20 years ago.
Yes. But that's only because she really had to go into witness protection program.
It is retcon bullshit, but yes, she is back.
Right, but Kathy gave up on the whole idea that she was dead within 2 seconds of seeing her. You know what I mean? But then Kathy's supposedly taken the whatever it was sandwiches over to the thing because and so she says, for whatever reason, even though she's there trying to lay low, all of a sudden she's just like, oh, I'll go over to the Vic with you. Why don't I just go ahead and put myself in all the spotlight? So she says, okay, carry these 2 sandwich trays over to the Vic, at which time George is outside for whatever reason, and their eyes meet. Their eyes meet across the way.
And that was the first Duff of the week, and it was pretty impressive. There were no bad Duffs at all this week. I must say that. Because usually you get 1 or 2 bad Duffs in a week, but there were no bad Duffs this week. Every week ended on a
Duff.
Where they end on a stupid note, where the Duff comes and it's like sort of anticlimactic.
Yeah, well, they have a Duff. Just like, I mean, and Coronation Street does the one with their, that kind of thing, but it's not as good. There's nothing that beats the EastEnders Duff.
Nothing. When it comes to soap operas, EastEnders stands alone. But every Duff this week was climactic, and every Duff left me going, oh, I really want to watch the next episode.
Yes.
So it's good stuff.
So she comes back.
She comes back, yeah.
And then that causes, which leads the 2 daughters to spiral out of control, supposedly. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that you could call that spiraling out of control, but the one does start taking maybe cocaine or whatever. We don't really know what she took, but anyway, she ends up in the hospital. The other
She
one,
took meth.
oh,
They
was it?
said the doctor said it was meth.
Oh, okay. So she took a little bit of meth because she's had a wee bit of a problem in the past.
Yeah. She's had a
And-
wee bit of the problem. Now, here's my big question. Cindy is all obsessed with getting back in touch with her daughters, Gina and Anna, right?
Right.
She has another daughter that's living in Germany right now
Yes.
and
See?
has made no effort to contact her whatsoever.
Well, but yeah, because she's too young.
Hmm.
We're gonna, give Cindy Jr. enough time to make a few mistakes, and then we'll have to throw her back into the picture.
And can I just say, she says to George, they thought that I tried to kill Ian. Bitch, you 100% tried to kill Ian. All right. We all were there for that storyline. We all watched you hire the hitman. Yeah, you had a change of heart, but after money changed hands. All right. You legitimately 1000% tried to have Ian killed.
Yeah, but who hasn't? I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing that you go back and then Ian's having this conversation with Sharon, like, oh yeah, well, last time I saw you 9 months ago, you were trying to kill me, but now it's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They're all good. Sharon's had a bit of a turnaround on Ian. Last time she was all gung ho to kill him, and now said,
Sorry.
"Do I need to mute you? I mean, you're sneezing, you're eating crisps.
Yeah,
I
no,
will
right.
hit the mute button."
I think Tom's got a case of the passive aggressives going on there.
Yeah. Tom is not a fan of the
I'm
EastEnders
going to
convo.
show you what to do if you talk
I
about
spared
it.
you that sneeze at least.
So yeah, and so that, I mean, everybody's getting. Freddie has it away with the younger daughter, Anna.
Yeah, Freddie gets it on with Anna.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happening there because Anna and Bobby were snogging earlier in the week, but apparently now that she's found out he murdered her sister, she's gone a little cold on him.
well, as it does,
You never would have thought, would you?
as you do. Sometimes, whenever you find out that the person you were snogging secretly killed your sister, that might turn you off.
Freddie, his conscience wasn't anywhere to be seen when he was actually shagging her, but now suddenly, after the fact, has a huge crisis of conscience.
Listen, Richard, after you get your cookies, it's always better to have regret after the fact. If you're looking for
It is better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So, to the average man, that's how they would have handled it. Oh yeah, sorry about that. But the person, no, but she has full what do you call that? Independence and sovereignty to sleep with who she wants to sleep with.
Absolutely. I'm not
Autonomy.
slut-shaming that.
There's
Yeah.
I mean, autonomy.
yeah, well, yeah, sovereignty.
But Freddie has broken a cardinal rule of the Guy Code,
Yes.
which, will probably come back to haunt him.
Yeah, but do you? I mean, how do you handle? I mean, maybe that's a different show for that example, because somebody has had an interest in a girl, and she's shown no interest in him, or only sort of.
But they were snogging earlier in the week.
I understand that. I understand snogging. So, at what point in time does that take you away from going out with a girl? At what maybe that's what I'm saying. At what point? That's a discussion for another show. What point in time can you not ask out a mate's quote unquote love interest? Holding hands, hugging, kissing, tongue mouth kissing.
Well, it depends on the dynamics of every situation, doesn't it?
Well,
I
yeah.
mean,
No, but Tom, I'm not asking for it now. I'm just saying maybe sometime we should do it, because I don't think there's enough time to discuss that at this point, is there?
No, we're already at the end of the show, technically.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we can go long. I don't mind.
yeah. Go long.
believe it or not, I'm going to be doing some schoolwork within a few minutes. I always pull a bit of a late shift on Saturday night, and I don't mind. Works
All right.
for me.
So that was good. Let's see. We didn't find out about. Oh, does he have the cancer? Does Alfie have the cancer?
I think that storyline was largely ignored. In fact, all other storylines were largely ignored this week. We got nothing about Stacy and Theo. We got nothing about Alfie's cancer. Kat was suddenly back out of the blue,
Yes.
being absent for several weeks. But like Ian coming back after 2 years, and then he comes back and he steals the chippy, and then he throws his mum out of her house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you fucking piece of shit.
Well,
Who's Ian's mum again?
Kathy.
Kathy.
The one. Yeah, Kathy. Kathy's been on the show since day one. She was.
That was Ian.
Oh, blimey.
What was the dad's name was? I can't even remember. No,
Peter.
the granddad was Arthur, wasn't it? Arthur Beale.
Yeah, Arthur Beale, Peter Beale.
Yeah. Those.
Kathy. I remember when I was really quite young. I was only about 8 or 9. There was a plot thread where a guy called Wilmot Brown had he raped Kathy.
Wilmot
Yeah.
Brown was.
Yeah.
Was Wilmot Brown not on Coronation Street?
No, he was on EastEnders years ago in the 80s.
we are
He came
talking
back like 3 or 4 years ago. We had that whole storyline with Max where they tried to take over the square. Wilmot Brown came back for that, and Kathy thoroughly humiliated him. It's a whole good thing.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that. I remember him being interviewed by the police, and I remember I asked my mum, "What is this?" And my mum had to like really seriously sit me down and explain the criminal act of rape. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
on
consent
that
is important.
charming note,
Yeah.
on that charming note, I think should we call it a night, guys?
Yeah. We could talk about it next week.
Yeah, sure. That's a good way to.
Yeah, really sorry, guys. I really left it on a low point there. Sorry.
Yeah.
What the hell was that, Tom?
Yeah. It's like we're doing our wrap up. Tom comes by and just kind of knocks us in the balls.
He's
You
all over
know
the
what?
bombshell.
Your mum should not have sat you down. Do you know who should have sat you down? Sexual harassment.
Harassment.
That's right. This is not okay.
This is
Oh,
not
yeah.
okay, Tom.
You can do it. Oh yeah, you can go and give consent talks around schools, Richard. You could do some good with this, man.
I could
Yeah.
definitely
Just do
get a
some-
costume.
Just
You
do
could be
some,
onto something here.
do some
Hey,
ringing around to different places and see if you can get in.
Do you remember when there used to be the Green Cross Code adverts with the robot and stuff like that? Well, you can be the 21st century. The hero we all need in 2023.
Oh, that's
Gabby's been making artwork about you, by the way. She's been showing me.
I know. She sent it to me.
but what I will say
Yeah,
is we had
inspiration.
a deep conversation about fears and inner mind twist. Maybe it's just maybe it is just better to leave this one alone. It's
Yeah.
this was just a show about our inner fears and hopes and desires, and we'll just call it that, and just wall it off and never talk about it again.
We can talking about these things is good, healthy, and necessary.
Yes,
And Richard, you have our full sympathy and support.
full support, mate. And I'm sure-
Thank
I'm
you
sure
for that. And on that bombshell, we'll wrap it up for this week. We will return next week, hopefully without Tom ending it on such a bummer.
Yeah,
It's good night from me.
yeah, and
It's good night from
Tom.
me. And it's good night from them.
Tommy, you don't even rank a duff on that one.
Yeah, man. What even
Good night.
was that?
Let's put
Good
us
night,
up on this
everyone.
week. Good night, everyone.
Bye.